Alright, welcome back. So let's quickly look at the definition for price discrimination. So you can actually draw some inference from English dictionary. So from the English dictionary, it actually mentioned that this is an action that denies social participation or human rights to categorize people based on prejudice. Okay, so commonly there are this kind of discrimination like sexual discrimination, like racial discrimination. But now when we want to relate it to economics, okay, the concept is pretty much the same. Okay, so we want to charge different price to different consumers who have a difference in willingness to pay. Okay, and it has to be because of not of difference in production cost. So let me repeat again. Okay, what we want to find out is how are we going to charge different price, okay, on the same good to different kinds of consumers because of their difference willing to pay. Okay, but this is not related to difference in production cost. Okay, so very good example that you have seen earlier in the video, all right, was taking train. And when you are taking train, you actually often see these two kinds of people. Okay, student and adult, and student fare and adult fare, they are different. Okay, student, they actually pay a lower price as compared to adult. Okay, and this is actually one of the more common kinds of price discrimination. Okay, and why is this a price discrimination? Because the cost of offering the train ride to the adult and to the student, it is the same. Alright, so let me repeat again. If you were to offer train ride, MRT ride to adult or the children, the cost to offer them the train ride, it is the same. There is no difference in production cost. Okay, but not all difference in price level, okay, they are price discrimination. So let me repeat again. So some of them, they are price discrimination. I'll call them PD from now, PD, price discrimination, and not all are PD. Okay, so a very good example of what is not a PD, okay, is where your electric company like PUB, okay, they actually charge higher price for peak consumption timing. Okay, meaning to say there's a certain peak hours, okay, between 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Okay, they actually charge a higher price, okay, for usage of electricity, and this is not PD. Okay, why is this so? Okay, this is because there is higher production cost involved when everyone uses electricity. Alright, PUB has to hire more engineers to stand by. Alright, PUB has to burn more fuel. Okay, so this is a difference in production cost, okay, due to peak hour usage, and this is not price discrimination. Alright, and the last thing that you want to think about is you might be thinking that why PD appears to contradict the assumptions of profit maximization. Okay, so in this case, why would an MRT operator charge student and senior citizens at a lower rate? Okay, isn't it more profitable to charge a higher price, right? But if we actually look further, okay, PD actually brings the monopolies or the producer more profit. Okay, and why is this so? Okay, and this is because the monopolies has an incentive to find ways of discrimination and charge every buyer the highest possible price that they are willing to pay. Okay, different people have different willingness to pay. All right, so if you are able to uncover the ones they are willing to pay at a very high price and to charge them at a very high price for taking MRT, why not? Okay, so in this case, some people may pay less in price discrimination, but others will pay more to make up for this. Okay, and we will be discussing this in depth more, so don't worry about that. So the thing that I want you to note is this one. Okay, there is no difference in production cost. This is one of the key criteria that I need you to know. All right. And here are the three conditions that I need you to know in depth as well. Okay, how are you going to make price discrimination possible? Okay, the first one, the seller has a downward sloping demand curve. Remember, when you have a downward sloping demand curve, you are in a position to charge your consumer's price. Okay, and when you are in a position to charge your consumer price, then you are able to set different prices. Okay, so the firms must have some degree of market power to set price. Okay, so in this case, remember earlier on I talked about monopoly, okay, and oligopoly. Okay, these are the two main market structure. Then some of you may be asking, Mr. Teo, we have learned that monopolistic competition, they are also a downward sloping demand curve. Okay, do we actually consider them under price discrimination? Okay, the answer is yes and no. Okay, for MC firms, they do not have substantial market power, but in reality, okay, they are still able to practice some form of price discrimination. Okay, very little price discrimination. Okay, so yes and no. Okay, but for simplicity's sake, okay, we consider only these two market structure, okay, that are able to price discriminate because they have substantial market power. The next condition to make your PD to be in effect will be arbitrage. Okay, so what is arbitrage? Okay, arbitrage meaning to say it simply means you are able to buy in cheaper market and resell in the dearer market. Dearer market means the more expensive market. Okay, so in this case, remember just now when I talked about the trains, the MRT, MRT example, whereby the student actually pays a student fare and the adult pays an adult fare. Okay, so what happens if when arbitrage occurs in this kind of market, what happens is the students, okay, can actually buy more tickets on behalf of the adult and they can actually resell the cheaper tickets to the adult. Okay, and in this case, the two-tier pricing imposed by the producers will not occur. Okay, you are not able to price discriminate. Okay, but in reality, how do we actually control this problem? Okay, so for student, okay, you are supposed to have a student card. Okay, and it is, I think, blue or something in color to illustrate that you are a student. And for adults, it is just a normal EZ-Link card. All right, and if adults are caught using a student card, okay, they can go to jail for that. Okay, they can be fined. Okay, so this is what producers are doing in reality to protect themselves and to protect the possibility of having an arbitrage. All right. So in this way, there is no possibility of reselling in a more expensive market and therefore bypassing the producer. And the last part, all right, the producer or the firm must be able to separate and identify different market groups. Okay, and different market groups will illustrate different willingness to pay, different price elasticity of demand. So we have actually seen in the earlier video, okay, that students, they have a lower willingness to pay, okay, or they have relatively they are actually quite sensitive to price, okay, price elasticity of demand. Okay, and why is this so? Okay, because for students, they will have a lot of substitutes. Okay, in this case, they can either in overseas they can either cycle to school or they can take bus to school. They don't really need to take train to school. Okay, so this is one good example. Okay, but nonetheless, let's come back to here. We must be able to differentiate the market, okay, and identify different groups that have different willingness to pay. Okay, and the different willingness to pay will show you the difference in price elasticity of demand. Okay, and for adults, okay, no choice. They don't have substitute. Okay, in the sense that most of them work in CBD. Okay, parking in CBD is very expensive. Okay, they have no choice but to rely on public transport. Okay, or train to get to CBD or Raffles Place. Okay, so in this case, you are able to charge a higher price because of relatively insensitive to price for adults. Okay, so these are the three conditions. You need to know them by heart.